Hello, Jackets fans, and welcome to Boom and Gloom, a Columbus Blue Jackets fan podcast where I discuss the boom, the good, and the gloom, the bad, of CBJ hockey. I'm Anthony, known on most social media platforms as Whaler Jacket. If you're new to the podcast, well, let me just tell you what I think is the most interesting hockey-related fact about myself, or should I say opinion about myself. I consider myself to be Ohio's longest-suffering hockey fan. I turned 49 years old on Monday, and I've been watching NHL hockey for, that means about 40 years. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has seen their favorite team experience as little success as I have, as a fan of the Hartford Whalers and now Columbus Blue Jackets. One playoff series win. I have seen one. Yes, the Whalers won a series in 1985, but I really didn't start following the Whalers until the following season when my dad had season tickets and I fell in love with the team and the sport. One playoff series win in 40 years. Plus, my favorite team was ripped from my home state of Connecticut and moved to Carolina. Plus, my favorite AHL team, the New Haven Nighthawks, no longer exists. They no longer exist. Their arena was demolished. Plus, my alma mater, Miami University, I will never forget, was up by 2 goals with a minute left in the national championship game and lost. Yeah, go ahead. Try to find a hockey fan who has suffered as much as I have. But enough complaining. Let's get down to talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets. The season kicks off tomorrow night in Nashville, so I wanted to throw out my little season preview here. And before I begin, I want to address and comment on some little quick bits of CBJ news. The Minnesota Wild. They have a 25th anniversary jersey this season. Well, the Jackets came into the league the same year as the Minnesota Wild. Why don't they have a 25th anniversary jersey? Seems like a missed opportunity for the team here. Now, I am hoping for a surprise. The Los Angeles Kings opened up their season at home this week and came out on the ice with brand new, unannounced alternate jerseys. Apparently, they surprised everyone. Now, I'm not a Kings fan, so this is just kind of what I just read online. So there may have been some, previews of that. Some people may have known about that, but from what I heard, it was unannounced. It was a surprise. So I guess the Jackets might have something like that up their sleeve, but I highly doubt it. My suspicion is that someone in our illustrious organization didn't think of what the Wild thought of. And that is just too bad. Looks like all we're going to get is the 25th anniversary patch that appears on the jerseys and the 25th anniversary logo that appears on the ice. I'm not overly fond of that logo either, by the way. It's not hideous or anything, but I think they could have put together something better than what we got. I was on Facebook the other day and saw a post by Sportico, or someone reposting Sportico, and it listed the values of all 32 NHL teams. Guess which team was dead last? Yes, sir. Your Columbus Blue Jackets. I just have to shake my head. I mean, not that I disagree with the analysis for, finding the team values, but it just makes me think what this team could be, or where this team could be if they would just win. If they made some deep Stanley Cup playoff runs. consistent winning seasons, if they strung together some dominating seasons and established themselves as one of the league's top teams, one of the league powerhouses, it makes me wonder how much more popular they would be in Ohio. And sure, they'll always be second to Ohio State in terms of popularity in Columbus. I get that. That's expected. But winning is the cure-all for all sports team ailments. The team starts winning a lot, and you have more demand for tickets. You have more team revenue. You have more jersey sales, more concession sales. They become more popular, and that value shoots right up. This team is just so overdue for some sustained success. It's just unbelievable. And unfortunately, I'm not convinced the team starts a run toward that this season. But I'll get to that in a bit. I listened to another podcast, 32 Thoughts. The 32 Thoughts podcast, I listen to it fairly often. And I learned this year about something the hosts do that I thought was really fun to think about. They called it the In-Season Cup. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, here's basically how it works. The four hosts, or the production staff, the production team, or whatever they are, including Elliot Friedman, they do a snake draft, each selecting NHL teams until all 32 are accounted for. Then the season begins for the Cup champion Florida Panthers, the defending Stanley Cup champions. Well, let's say the Panthers win their opening night game. Well, that means they retain their cup until the next game. They actually retain it until they lose their first game. Whoever beats them gets the quote-unquote cup until they lose. Whoever beats them retains the cup until they lose. And it goes on and on like that all season. They keep track of the number of days one of their drafted teams retains the cup. I think it goes all season, and whichever person had the most total days with the cup wins. And I just thought that was a very entertaining idea that I might have to try at some point with some willing participants. Now, to keep this CBJ related, I listened to their snake draft, and the Blue Jackets were not selected until one of the last 10 picks. No respect at all. And I'm not arguing. I'm not saying they should have been taken higher. I'm not. It just always stands out to me how little people have come to think of the Blue Jackets when it's time to consider good hockey teams. They just never get any respect. And I'm not saying that's not deserved. I'm just saying that's the way it is. Now, Elliot Friedman did say something to the effect that he was surprised the Jackets lasted as long as they did in that draft, but it certainly wasn't a glowing endorsement. Other news, it was announced today that Cam Atkinson would be signing a one-day contract with the team so that he could retire as a Blue Jacket. How cool is that? I would say Cam Atkinson is easily in the top 10 when it comes to all-time Blue Jackets greats. And I'm not saying he was one of the top 10 best, although I'm sure that can be debated. I'm referring to like overall greatness. Not just stats, but popularity among fans, devotion to the team and the city, things like that. Cam was one of the greats, and he deserves to retire in the city that loved him as a player on its team. So, very happy to hear that about Cam Atkinson. Okay, one more thing before I really get into it. And this is not Columbus Blue Jackets related, but I just have to talk about it. What in the heck were the Carolina Hurricanes thinking when they redesigned their away jersey? And actually, I should say it like this. What were they thinking again? They just can't seem to figure out how to pull this jersey thing off. Their last white jersey, in my opinion, was ridiculously stupid. Just the word Canes. A nickname, not even the real team name, just a nickname written diagonally. That was their main jersey. It was so bland, so boring. It was horrible. In my opinion, that was the worst away jersey in the league. And now, they adopt this one, which is slightly less horrible, but still horrible, in my opinion. If you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. Okay, they changed the colors of the swirl logo just for this jersey. Like the logo, to my knowledge, the official logo has not changed, but on this jersey, it looks different. I think they got rid of all the white, so it's just this red and black monstrosity. And the striping they went with is not very cool looking at all either. Just another miss. But you know what? If my team was a perennial playoff contender, maybe a bad jersey wouldn't bother me so much. So maybe that's what Carolina fans are thinking. It might not be the best jersey in the world, but you know what? We're pretty much a lock for the playoffs yet again this year. So we're not going to complain about it too much. But I don't know. And you know what? I also know they didn't ask me for my opinion. I just can't believe it. When teams try to design new jerseys, I feel like I should be consulted. I really do. I think I would have some good insight. All right. End of my rant there. Let's go back to the Jackets. I want to start by addressing the preseason. The Jackets went 2-5 and did not look particularly good, if I'm being honest. They were, for lack of a better word, underwhelming. Now, you can definitely argue that it was the preseason. The preseason doesn't count. And I get that. I totally understand that. But man, did I hope to see some play on the ice that made me think, oh, this team is going to step it up this season. I did not get that sense at all. Now, some discussions online propose the idea that because there was no real competition with the lineup, because the lineup was pretty much set from the start of camp, there was no need for the players to go all out during the preseason and risk injury. I'm not sure I buy completely into that theory, but I suppose that is a possibility. But it was definitely disheartening to watch. To watch their play during the exhibition games. And I have to point out something that was brought to my attention. I could have the year wrong, but I'm going to go with 2015. Apparently, the Jackets had an amazing preseason. I just don't remember, so I can't say for sure. But apparently they did, and they got everyone in the fan base excited for what was going to happen in the regular season. And what did they do instead? They went out and lost their first 7 games. So yeah, I get it. preseason doesn't really matter. The preseason is not guaranteed to be indicative of regular season performance. Yet I will stand by what I said. I was underwhelmed with what I saw with the Blue Jackets preseason play. Now, let me talk about the team itself. All right, I'll start from the crease and work my way out. Actually, no, I will start from the press box. It was recently made official. Yegor Chinakhov will be the first healthy scratch tomorrow night. I just don't get what is going on with this guy and the team. I mean, he started the year last season in the top 6. Now, as a healthy player, he can't even crack the lineup. I mean, I get that he didn't have the best preseason ever, but who did? Who did on the Jackets roster? It just seems like to me with a player with Chinakhov's speed and his shot, he should be among the team's top 12 forwards. The fact that he's not, after apparently mending some fences with the team, after his trade request, well, that just makes me scratch my head. It's almost like we're not being told something here. Like there's something that's going on that we as fans are not privy to. Maybe the talks with Dean Evason did not go as smoothly as we assumed or may have heard. Maybe he did something else to fall out of favor. But that's the thing, I just don't know. He was certainly given opportunities in the preseason, but didn't capitalize. But again, I have to say it, who did? No Blue Jacket actually, lit it up in the preseason. I mean, you could argue that Olivier looked really good, that he had a really good preseason, but no one really stood out to me. So I'm just baffled by this. I wish I could give you my honest assessment about what is going on with this player and what I think will happen next, but I just don't know. It is just a truly perplexing situation for me as an outside observer. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I mean, maybe the Jackets will put him in the lineup for Game 2, but as of now, he'll be in the press box watching in Nashville. And speaking of Nashville, my hopes are not high. Historically, the Jackets have not done well in Nashville. So, first game, knocking off some rust in Nashville, I just don't have a good feeling, and boy, do I hope I'm wrong about that. All right, moving on. Let's talk about the goaltenders. Okay, Elvis Merzlikins and Jet Greaves. As of this recording, it has not been made official who will start for the Blue Jackets game. Game 1. If I was a betting man, I would bet they would just go with Elvis. More out of respect than anything else. I would say that neither goaltender really stole the number 1 position and ran with it in the preseason. So that's my prediction. They're going to start Elvis, Game 1. But it also wouldn't surprise me to see Jet get the start. Both goaltenders played an equal amount of preseason games and had fairly similar stats. I know that some are going to argue that the stats were not the same, and I'm not saying they were. Fairly similar. Nobody, blew it out of the water. But Elvis did make that completely boneheaded mistake, passing it up the middle, right to the opposing player, who then scored an easy goal. Who was that against? Penguins, maybe? Can't remember. But yeah, that was... I do remember thinking to myself, there's good old Elvis Merzlikins for you. But my guess at this point is that they will play an honest tandem format. If someone gets hot, Evason will ride that particular goaltender as a starter. Give that particular goaltender more starts. But until that happens, I'm going to guess they're just going to do a 1A, 1B type of situation. And again, we shall see. It's early. On to the defense. Defensive pairings seem to be set, at least for now. Jake Christensen will start the year in the press box. Normally, I wouldn't be too upset if someone of his talent level was not playing. Don't get me wrong, he's a solid young defenseman. My issue is a certain someone who is playing in his place. And I'll get to that in a moment. If you are a loyal listener to this podcast, you know exactly who I am talking about. But anyway, I'm fairly confident that due to poor play of this particular defenseman and or injuries, Jake will get some decent playing time this season. As expected, Zach Werenski and Dante Fabro are on the first pairing. No issues there. Expected. Deserved. The second pairing, we have Ivan Provorov and my buddy, Damon Severson. I get the experiment here, okay? Damon is getting paid a lot of money. He should be playing. Or I should say he should be given the opportunity to play. And he sets a perfect right side, left side pairing. With Mateychuk, Provorov was forced to play on his offhand side last season, which is fine, but I get why the team would want Severson to instead play in this spot. I just don't like it. I would prefer to have Mateychuk on that second pair. And Severson off the team for that matter, but I promised myself I would give the guy another chance this season. So I will shut up about him for now and see how this all plays out. That leaves Eric Goodbranson and Denton Mateychuk on the third pair. I have to admit, I have grown to really like Goodbranson for his size, his physical play, and his leadership. I have grown to really like him. I'm just not sure how well he's going to mesh with Mateychuk. Who knows? Maybe it will help Mateychuk's development. I don't know, but I think what would help more is increased time on the second pairing. For better or worse, though, this is the defensive core that we're rolling out with right now. In a perfect world, we would have found an upgrade for Provorov in the offseason to play with Mateychuk on the second pair, and we would have found a willing trade partner for Damon Severson's beast of a contract. But this isn't a perfect world, so as Jackets fans, we just have to live with the fact that this is our defense. And we have to hope it is better than last year. One more quick thing about Damon Severson, okay? He is locked in with a no movement clause, I believe, for the next 2 seasons. So the only way the Jackets can move him is if he agrees to be moved. So, if his play drops off, and when I say drop off, I mean his play is anything similar to his play last season, I really think the Jackets have to take a long, hard look and say, we know he's making a lot of money, but he needs to be benched. And then that in turn might say to Severson, I need to get out of here. And then maybe he would retract his no trade clause and give permission for the team to seek a trade. So, again, just my thoughts right now. The hope is that he can improve from last season, and then all this will be moot. But as you can hear in my voice, the pessimism is prevalent. Moving on to forwards. The first line will be Sean Monahan centering Marchenko and Voronkov, hoping to rekindle the magic that they had before Monahan's injury last season. That first line was expected, although I wasn't going to be surprised if there was some tinkering in the preseason, which ended up putting Voronkov on a lower line. That didn't happen, as we now know. And then we get to the second line. And this is the line that at the moment I am really not pleased with as constructed. Adam Fantilli centering Boone Jenner and Cole Sillinger. And I have a few issues here. Number one, Cole Sillinger. I like the guy, I do, but his play in camp and preseason games and last season, I mean, does that really warrant an upgrade to the second line? I thought he was perfect for the third line. And putting him there sends Kent Johnson to the third line. Is there anyone out there who doesn't believe Kent Johnson belongs in the top 6 on this team? He certainly proved it to me last year, and I thought he was developing some really good chemistry with Adam Fantilli. Plus, I always envisioned Boone being on the third line. Not that he can't handle where he is, but I always thought that as we upgraded at center the past 2 seasons and moved away from playing Boone there, Boone would end up settling into a third line role. A place where he can play his physical game with some defensive responsibility, but also chip in offensively occasionally. But no, I am not pleased with this second line. Now, I will say, I kind of badmouthed Boone a little bit there. I will say that he is a good role model to have with Adam Fantilli. So there is that. But the third line here, okay, you have Charlie Coyle centering Kent Johnson and Matthew Olivier. To me, Kent Johnson is the team's best playmaker. He has the best vision and the best creativity. Why put him with these 2 players? I just don't get it. I hope I'm wrong, but at this point, I'm shaking my head looking at the second and third lines. Kent Johnson may make Matthew Olivier and Charlie Coyle better, maybe. But I think it's more likely that he would make Adam Fantilli better. I think they work well together. They read off each other. They complement each other. I just don't get it. Line 4, you have Isaac Lundstrom centering Zach Aston Reese and Miles Wood. I am fine with this line as constructed. I know it's virtually impossible to completely agree with everything a head coach does, and I am a huge Dean Evison fan, as you probably know. But I just think this is not a wise lineup set at the moment. Swap Silly and KJ to start. That's a simple move that puts KJ with a more natural scorer in Adam Fantilli. And you have some grit on that line with Boone Jenner, a grit and experience. I think the team is sacrificing points by putting KJ on that third line. I really do. Coyle and Olivier are not going to be able to reap the benefits of Johnson's passing and his creative style the way Fantilli would. Hopefully this is a temporary thing. I know some people hypothesized that this was only for the preseason, kind of as a way to protect Kent Johnson, putting him with Matthew Olivier. But I didn't buy that, and I still don't buy that. The lines at practice, I believe it was today, maybe it was yesterday, but they suggest that this is the lineup the team is going with. These are the lines. And I'm just honestly not pleased at the moment. So I guess I should give you my lineup. This is what I would go with. I'm not an NHL head coach. I'm not. This is just a casual fan making some observations here. But for the heck of it, this is what I would go with. First line, let's keep it the same. Monahan, Voronkov, Marchenko. Now, I'd be happy to push Voronkov down for someone else if someone, were to show me that they belong there. But for now, let's just go with it. Second line, Fantilli, Johnson, Jenner. Yeah, I said I liked Jenner on the third line. I did. But let's put him here for now. And then let's see if we can get Chinakhov going on the third line. So third line would be Coyle centering Sillinger and Chinakhov, with the caveat that Sillinger can be the center at any time, if that tends to work better for chemistry or matchups. Fourth line, Lundstrom, Olivier, Wood. I am well aware that Olivier has been scoring more, and hopefully he will continue to put pucks in the net this year. But I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if that's sustainable. Give him some time on a higher line when the opportunity is available, and go from there. But start him on the fourth. Zach Aston Reese, he starts in the press box. Nothing against him, nothing against him really. I'm just someone has to sit, and if I was coach, I would start with him. Swap him in for anyone who needs a rest or has tweaked an injury or needs to be benched a game due to subpar play. But of course, I am not the coach, and I will just have to be content with complaining about what Dean Evason does. Love the guy, always have. But I feel like he's doing the lineup a disservice right now with it currently structured as is. My final segment today is going to be my prediction. How are the Jackets going to do this season, and will they make the playoffs? I may upset a lot of people by saying this, but I predict the Jackets take a step back this season. I think it is widely accepted that they overachieved last season. No one expected them to do as well as they did. They fought through a lot of adversity. They played with heart. A lot of players had career years. But my thought is, it's not realistic to assume all those players will take another step forward. It is likely that at least a couple of them will regress a bit. Take a step back after such a great season last year. It happens with young players on a young team. The defense was not improved over the summer. The goaltending remains a question mark with an inexperienced Jet Greaves and an inconsistent Elvis Merzlikins. We're basically walking back the same team as last year, and I just don't know if we've improved enough. I don't have high hopes that they can elevate their game yet again and snag a playoff spot. My bold prediction is the Blue Jackets miss the playoffs this season. I'm not going to give a prediction regarding the record. All I will say is that it won't be a good enough record to qualify for the playoffs. This team is still missing a piece or two that will put them over the edge. And that piece may simply be more development time for the young players we already have. But I just have low expectations when it comes to making the playoffs this season. I'm sorry to say. Now, I admit I am a pessimist by nature, and I would absolutely love to eat all the crow you can give me. and I truly hope that I am wrong. But my gut tells me that we, as Jackets fans, generally speaking, need to temper our expectations for one more season. We're going to be a bubble team, and I predict we will miss out yet again. Let me say it one more time, though. I hope I am wrong about that. Because, again, we are so overdue for some success. We have suffered long enough. What has it been? 5 years now since the Jackets last made the playoffs? 2 player deaths? 3, 4 coaches? New management? Yeah, we're long overdue, and dare I say we are deserving of some success. Let me leave you with a trivia fact I heard recently. Charlie Coyle is like 33 or 34 years old. He has never missed the playoffs in his NHL career. I sure hope his streak continues this season and that this old, soon-to-be 49-year-old suffering hockey fan is dead wrong. Enjoy the season, everyone. So excited that Blue Jackets hockey is back, and so happy to be able to talk about it. Not sure if anyone is actually listening, but I will churn out these podcasts, these podcast episodes every so often, and spew my random thoughts on the Jackets like I actually know what I'm talking about. You can always participate, by the way. Send me some questions, comments, thoughts, suggestions. I would appreciate hearing from you. You can find me on Blue Sky or Instagram at WhalerJacket, or simply email me, whalerjacket@gmail.com. The 2025-2026 season is upon us. I am so excited. Win or lose, Jackets are my team, and I'm excited to see them play again. So let's get down to it. Take care, everyone, and go Jackets.